Welcome to the 21st century, where we have a host of alternative ways to invest our money. Whether it's money you have in a savings account, a checking account, whether it's money you have in a retirement account. In today's world, there are a lot of alternative ways to invest our money. Well, one of the most common ways, at least in the real estate investment world, for people to invest their money is not through active real estate investing. I'm an active real estate investor. That means I'm responsible for the tenants, the termites, the troubles, and everything else that comes with active real estate investing, whether it's buying and holding a property, whether it's buying, fixing it, and flipping it. It's still a responsibility that as an active investor you have to assume. Well, as a passive investor, especially in most single family scenarios, one of the easiest ways for investors who don't want to be active to engage in passive investing is through private money lending. Now, of course, there are some legal documents that have to be signed. Of course, there are attorneys and title companies, whatever state you're in, that need to be involved. There are documents that need to be recorded as security instruments against that particular property so that the private money lender's money is secure and safe against the property. However, there are 3 expectations as a private money lender I wanted to share with you. So just in case you know some active investors and at some point you start having a conversation and they're like, hey, if you got 25, 50, 75, 100 grand, or maybe you have a retirement account, a 401k, you can self-direct it and put it on this deal. What they're referring to is you becoming a private money lender. Now, outside of the legal due diligence that's important for you, outside of the financial due diligence that's important for you in terms of you doing your own analysis to make sure that the property you're going to invest your money in as the private money lender meets your investment criteria. Outside of that, there are just some common things that you just need to have expectations of. And so here are 3 expectations as a private money lender I share with my private money lenders. I call them private capital partners because we make sure that they are compensated well on each deal, and we make sure that we treat them not just as lenders but as partners so that they know their contribution and their expectations are important to us and they're going to be met. So what are the 3 expectations as a private money lender? Number 1, you should always have, you as a private money lender, or if you have private money lenders because you're the active investor, they should have these expectations of you. Number 1, an expectation of trust. That's the key word. You always hear people say in the sales world, people don't do business with you unless they know, like, and trust you. And that's really true. People need to know you, they need to like you, and more importantly, they need to trust you. So there has to be an expectation of trust. If nobody trusts you, then nobody's going to give their money, their savings, their retirement, their livelihood to you. I remember talking to a private money lender or a private capital partner who was a part of my mentorship program, which she's still in my community. She's still being mentored by me as an entrepreneur. But through the mentorship relationship we built, there was a lot of trust that she had that I didn't even know she had until she did some deals based on some direction and advice that I gave her. And when we finally met back up months later for another one-on-one session, she told me about her windfall, the money that she had set aside, and that she wanted me to consider her as a private capital partner. Of course, I was delighted. I was very pleased to know that this was someone who saw me in that light. But outside of all the experience that I have, outside of all my intelligence and my understanding of the business and the game, what got me the most was when she said, I'm doing this because, number 1, I trust God. Of course, we're believers. But she says, I trust you. I trust you. I know you're a man of God. I know you're a man of integrity. I know you're a man of your word. I've watched you that says it all. An expectation of trust. Now, this was before we talked about the deal structure, the ROI, before we talked about the paperwork. It was trust at the top of her list. All right. Second expectation is an expectation of track record. In other words, the active investor should have a proven track record, listen to this, of success, not just a track record based on a proof of concept. See, a lot of people have a proof of concept, but they don't have proof of success. So just because you got a lot of information, you got a lot of knowledge, you got charisma, you could communicate and articulate concepts and information well, that don't mean you have a proof of success. I want to see, if I was a private money lender, I would want to see HUD settlement statements with the name of the investor on it or their company. I want to see real deals that you've analyzed and you've put under contract and you bought, fixed, sold, or you hold as rental properties. I want to see proof of success. I want to see money that you made so that I know I'm working with someone who has a proven track record. And number three, the third expectation is an expectation of time for ROI. So a lot of times, let's say, for example, if you're investing your money in a buy and hold, that's what the deal is, a buy and hold for the active investor, but you're thinking you're investing in a fix and flip. So they're telling you, oh, it may be 3 months, but they might be willing and dealing something to try to get you your money back, and that's cool. But what happens if they can't pull that off? Now 3 months turns into 3 years. Well, you need to have an expectation of time for your ROI. So I always communicate to my private capital partners if this deal is a buy and hold or if this deal is a fix and flip. If it's a fix and flip or buy and hold, I communicate that and I let them know what the minimum timeline that they need to have an expectation for me to hold that money. Minimum, okay? So I have a minimum timeline. Now, if I exceed that timeline by being able to turn that property around through fixing and flipping or refinancing or cashing out, whatever I do, then I just exceeded my expectations or their expectations of me. But what I'm not going to do is tell them 3 months and it turns into a year. I'm not going to tell them a year and it turns into 3. So you want to make sure that you have an expectation of trust, an expectation of a track record, a proven track record, a proof of success, not a proof of concept, and an expectation of time for your ROI so that you know exactly what happens in the best case scenario and in the not so base case scenario. Now, again, there are a lot of other things that you have to make sure you're clear on, the due diligence financially and the due diligence legally. But this is very important. I see it in my business with private capital partners that I work with. I know for them, trust is important, and I bring this conversation up. Track record is important. Time is important when it comes to their ROI. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them in the comment section. My team and I will be more than happy to answer them. If you need any other assistance in terms of how to structure these types of deals, how to get into these deals, whether you're the active or passive investor, or maybe you're the private money lender and you want to know exactly what you need to consider in terms of your legal and financial due diligence, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video on the other side. Peace.